How do you make $275 million in a single trade? Not through luck or public news, but through a secret. A whispered piece of information that turned the stock market from a game of chance into a game of certainty. This is the story of that secret, the billion-dollar machine built to profit from it, and the one man at the center who, against all odds, always only wins the game. Steven A. Cohen. To understand the fall, you must first understand the incredible rise. Steven Cohen wasn't born into Wall Street wealth. He grew up in a middle-class family on Long Island, one of 8 children, and even worked in a supermarket as a teenager. His first love was poker, a game that taught him how to calculate risk and read his opponents. He took that same mindset to the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School and then to Wall Street. His talent was instant and explosive. Legend has it he made an $8,000 profit on his very first day as a junior trader in 1978. By 1992, confident in his skills, he used $25 million to start his own hedge fund, SAC Capital Advisors, named after his own initials. A hedge fund is essentially a pool of money from wealthy investors and institutions, managed by someone who tries to deliver huge returns. Cohen's promise was simple: only win relentlessly. Cohen didn't just want to be good, he wanted to be untouchable. He built SAC into a high-pressure factory for making money. He hired dozens of the smartest, most competitive portfolio managers, the people who make the actual buy and sell decisions, and split them into teams. He kept the trading floor icy cold and silent. Phones didn't ring, they just blinked, to keep everyone razor-focused. The demand was constant. Find an edge. In trading, an edge is a legal advantage, like discovering a great company before anyone else does through deep research. But at SAC, the pressure to find that next big tip was immense. Managers were judged on tiny timeframes, and their multi-million-dollar bonuses depended on being right. This created a culture where the line between hard work and crossing into illegal territory became dangerously thin. The firm grew monstrously successful, at its peak managing $16 billion and famously generating 70% returns for its investors in 2000. At its height, SAC was so active it was responsible for an astonishing 2% of all stock market trading in the entire United States. The relentless pursuit of an edge finally triggered a huge scandal. The center of the storm was a portfolio manager named Matthew Martoma. In 2008, Martoma was focused on 2 pharmaceutical companies, Elan and Wyeth, which were testing a promising new Alzheimer's drug. Through a network of experts, Martoma cultivated a relationship with a doctor who was actually involved in the drug's clinical trial. This doctor gave Martoma the ultimate secret, the confidential results showing the drug was failing before the public or the markets knew. This is the definition of insider trading. Trading stocks based on important, secret information that hasn't been released to everyone else. It's like knowing the final score of a sports game before it's over and then betting on it. Martoma took this secret to Cohen. Together, they executed a devastating financial move. First, they sold off all the shares of Elan and Wyeth that SAC owned. Then, they began short selling. Short selling is a way to bet that a stock's price will fall. You borrow shares from someone else, sell them immediately at the current high price, and then hope to buy identical shares back later at a much lower price to return to the lender, pocketing the difference. It's a risky, aggressive bet, unless you know for a fact the price is about to crash. Armed with the secret drug trial results, Cohen and Martoma placed one of the biggest short bets in Wall Street history against the 2 companies. When the bad news finally went public, the stock prices plummeted. SAC Capital didn't just make money, it avoided massive losses and racked up a combined profit of $275 million in just days. For his role, Martoma was rewarded with a $9 million bonus. A trade this huge and perfectly timed couldn't stay hidden. A massive, years-long investigation by the US government unfolded. Prosecutors called it the most lucrative insider trading scheme in history. One by one, people connected to SAC were charged. By 2013, at least 8 current or former SAC employees had been convicted or pleaded guilty to insider trading. Martoma himself was found guilty and sentenced to prison. The evidence against the firm was overwhelming. In November 2013, SAC Capital advisors pleaded guilty to criminal insider trading charges. As part of the settlement, the hedge fund agreed to pay a historic $1.8 billion fine, the largest penalty ever for an insider trading case, and was forced to stop managing money for outside investors. It was the end of SAC as the world knew it. But what about the man at the top? Despite being the undisputed leader and the direct beneficiary of Martoma's trade, Steven Cohen was never criminally charged. Prosecutors, in a detailed 41-page indictment, described SAC as a magnet for market cheaters and said Cohen built a culture that focused on not getting caught rather than not breaking the law. However, proving personal criminal knowledge against Cohen in a court of law was a different matter. The legal system requires proof beyond a reasonable doubt that he knowingly participated in the crime. Instead, the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, hit him with a civil charge of failure to supervise his employees. Think of it not as being charged with theft, but with being the careless manager of a store where theft happened on your watch. In 2016, Cohen settled this charge. He did not admit guilt, but agreed to a 2-year ban from managing other people's money. For most, a $1.8 billion guilty plea would be a career-ending point. For Steven Cohen, it was a new start. He simply converted the leftovers of SAC into a family office called Point72 Asset Management, which initially managed only his own $9 billion fortune. When his 2-year SEC ban ended in 2018, he reopened Point72 to outside investors. With his trading reputation still powerful, money flooded back in. By 2023, Point72 was managing over $30 billion. He also made a very public turn away from his secretive Wall Street image. In 2020, he bought the New York Mets baseball team for $2.4 billion, becoming a very visible public figure. Today, with an estimated total wealth of over $20 billion, Steven Cohen represents a contradiction. He was the head of a company, SAC Capital, that admitted in court to large-scale insider trading and paid a record fine. However, Cohen himself was never found guilty of a crime in criminal court. He faced consequences from financial watchdogs, but he now controls one of the biggest and most successful investment firms in the world. His journey shows the huge risks, the fuzzy ethical boundaries, and the complex reality of a system where great wealth and smart legal maneuvering can reshape what happens next.